When was the last time you told yourself you were going to do or achieve something and ended up not doing it? Odds are it wasn't very long ago. We, as normal people, do this all the time. Not everything you say will come to fruition, of course, but what if you want it to? Or at least be more consistent about it. We've all said, I'm going to do my homework when I get home, and of course, barely anyone ever did. You'd arrive home from a long day at school, look at your homework on your desk or your computer, then go do something else. What I want to solve with this essay is why we do this all the time, along with how we can actually transform our words into actions. Just recently, I told myself I want to buy a new car within the next year or so. And as most people do when they set a new goal, I became very excited and motivated by this goal in my mind. This is how pretty much everyone is in the early stages of setting a new goal or saying they're going to do blah 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 by a certain time. We get extremely motivated to achieve or do this thing. Then, down the road a bit, nothing ever happens. For example, when you tell yourself you're going to do your homework when you get home, you have the needed confidence in that moment, but when it comes to sitting down and doing it, poof, it's all gone. I realize this is something that I may experience a few months down the road when saving for this said car. In order to stay motivated, you need to make your goal specific. In my case, instead of saying something like, I want a C6 Corvette, which is the car I want, I have to change it to something like, I want a 2012 C6 Corvette Grand Sport within roughly the next year. Just with that simple example, you can see how much it changes from just a thing you said into a statement that will come true with enough time and drive. I'm aware that that wouldn't really be applicable for doing your homework. However, everyone has some sort of big goal like that in their lives. So give it a try and change that lackluster wording into something more impactful and that holds more meaning behind it. So why is it so hard to make those changes in our lives? Quoting Patheos, I think I'm saying that right, which I will link in the description, on an article they wrote on the same subject, they say we are stuck in a system. Patterns have developed over the years as we've told ourselves the same story over and over. We believe the same ideas, did the same things over and over again, which have become so reinforced so much that they become who we are. An example they use is driving the same route to work every day, day in, day out. The reason it's so hard to make a change is that you have to push against the momentum of those repetitive actions. Nobody likes doing difficult things. That's the exact reason we develop those systems. Our brains like to be safe, and familiarity resembles safety. The reality of the human spirit is that we do want to change, but we long to be more. We also long to be the same. We would all like to change if it didn't cost us anything. The result is a lot of talk and not a lot of doing. Dead ends. Shortcuts that we would believe would transform us without changing us. Unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. Patheo says there are three things we need to do in order for us to change. First is taking ownership of those said choices. Do not blame others or complain about your circumstances. However real they may be, nothing will change them by submitting to them. If you want to change, you need to take responsibility and action. Secondly, you must understand that the horse becomes before the cart. There are no shortcuts, and change is hard work. One reason plans never work out is that we wait for the perfect moment for us to randomly change ourselves immediately. We give up on New Year's resolutions because they actually require dedication. Work comes before the change. Third, last, and perhaps the most important, we need to understand why we want to change. Pure motivation just isn't enough. We need to find a value deep down that truly means something to us in who we are. If we want change, it is our mindset, attitude, and outlook that are our biggest obstacles. Once you can get a hold and conquer those, the action itself can be relatively easy. Nobody stays the same because of physical steps of change, for it's the mental ones that keep us constrained. Now, I'm sure after hearing all that, you hopefully feel motivated, but how can you make sure you don't go back into those old patterns, or how can you break the old ones? It starts with finding the triggers or cues that start that behavior. Maybe it happens at a certain time of day, at a specific place, or with that one person. Next, remove those cues. If you always eat chips when you see them in the pantry, put them somewhere else. If you always use your phone too much at night, put it in a separate room an hour before bed. Third, substitute that behavior. Instead of just trying to stop that bad habit, replace it with something better. For instance, replace that phone time before bed with reading a book. Fourth, increase the difficulty it takes to engage that bad habit. An example, put your phone charger in a separate room, or put that savings money in a locked account that you can't withdraw from unless it's absolutely necessary. Lastly, be mindful of when you're doing that bad habit. When you get that urge to do said thing, pause and take a moment to see what you're doing or what you're about to do. Something I like to implement is going outside when I get the urge to do a bad habit. Take a quick 5-minute walk. I also like to listen to a favorite song of mine to focus my mind somewhere else. A bonus tip you can use is to ask your family and friends to help you stay accountable for your goals. Tell your mom, dad, maybe your best friend that you're going to do this by that time. I want you to ask yourself, do you really want to change? Do you have the will to make a change in your life? Are you willing to stay dedicated and not give up? I know every single person out there has it in them if they're willing to do it. Change doesn't come without change.